Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Harder Not Smarter podcast. Our guests today are Stuart Grazer and David Gutierrez, both of them Naval Academy graduates and serial entrepreneurs, having started several businesses among themselves, to include the Kinetic Man Enterprise, which is both a mastermind group and a podcast focused on helping men live their life without regret. So please welcome both Stuart Grazer and David Gutierrez to the show.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you guys having us on. You know, we have this tagline of live life with no regret, but I have a business partner that sometimes I regret daily. Greg and I were actually just talking before we started recording the podcast about technical difficulties. I remember, Kevin, you had some technical difficulties with your computer, and David always has technical difficulties like in life. So
sounds like user error.
Yeah, I mean, so if we could, hopefully this show gets out to your audience. I'm looking for a new best friend. So just saying.
Hey, man. And I just want you guys, I want to give context to that. Stu's actually been looking for a new best friend for 25 years. And so that should tell you.
Looking for a friend.
He's looking for a friend, right? So that should tell you guys exactly what this relationship is like. Like I'm a huge believer. I'm a man of faith, and I'm a huge believer in just charity. Like it just is something that is on my heart often. And so, dude, like that is why I maintain this relationship, because every day I wake up, I'm like, dude, Lord, I am serving you today by allowing this guy into my life, and I've been blessed. I've been blessed. The struggle is real.
I feel like the next step in your guys' relationship is the no regrets tattoo on the neck.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's a good one.
I do like that.
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
Yeah, charity is important, especially with friendship.
Yeah.
Before we start, though, I just want to acknowledge, like, I have been excited. Stu told me about this podcast, and I absolutely cherish your guys' Harder Not Smarter. Like, every time I look at it on my invite thing, I'm like, that is absolutely hilarious. Like, it just cracks me up. So I don't know if you've been told that, but I think it is no joke, bar none, my favorite podcast show title ever. So I just want to give you guys that.
That's awesome.
Greg, I'd high five you, the 3,000, 5,000 miles away, whatever you are.
It was almost commando conversations, David. So we were going to have you show up in your underwear and hang out with us on the podcast, but we spared everyone.
Hey, look, man, here's the deal, dude. We, and Stu can attest to this. We have a history of, I'm going way back right here, and not a lot of people know this, but we used to have Naked Thursdays at the Naval Academy. I say at the Naval Academy. It wasn't the Naval Academy. It was a very specific room, and it was me, Casey, and Stu at the time. So, hey, man, I'm a big believer in just, being authentic and being real and vulnerable and just letting things just go where they go, man. I'm all about it. So,
I mean, we've thought about having different podcast venues where, we're either sitting in an ice bath next to each other, or I guess we can add in, a sauna, and really the first person to get out quits. But everything turns into a competition at that point anyway.
Hey,
dude,
I love it.
I will lose. And if we go in a sauna, I'll lose, man. I sweat so much. It's terrible.
Everyone sweats in a sauna. That's the point.
Well, no, but I have a special talent for sweating. That's why I loved Colorado, because it was dry. Not so much over in the Netherlands. It's humid.
No.
Yeah.
I'm kind of the opposite, man. I don't, the whole like ice bath thing, like I can't get into it. I know it's like the new hype, and supposedly it's good for you, and everybody, post social media posts about
the new Kale.
Ice bath. Yeah, it's the new Kale. Like I can't get into it. I don't know. I don't like being cold. I don't like being freezing.
That's because you're weak, but also we should start something right now. We should start the next big thing. Ice bath with kale. Like we have a bowl of kale. Like we bring that stuff together,
you eating
dude.
It, or is it in the bowl in the tank with you?
Yes.
Like, are you
yes.
In it?
Yes.
Let me one up this one with kale and a shake weight while we're in the ice bath.
Hey man, I'm ready to go.
David, can you tell the audience about your shake weight on your?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'd love to. Of course I can. First off, if you've never done a shake weight, you're wrong, right? I mean, it is legitimate. You start getting about 50 to 100 reps into that thing, and I don't care what you're doing, it's burning. So that's truth. Yeah, yeah, that's truth. But it's one of my favorite. There's all these. We're all military guys here, so every time you depart a command, you get something, right? And this was just one of my favorite gifts, man. And the crew, I valued working out, and so this was a gift going away. Painted it pink, made me a little note, little plaque on there, and they didn't even. Let me show you this. They couldn't figure out how to get it mounted. So like they literally the plate, they taped it on, dude. Just taped. It's been taped for like 5 years. I departed that command in like 20 and it's just taped on there. And it's not even good tape. You can't even read it. Like it is terrible. So this is one of my favorite going away. I'm not going to fix it either. I'm just leaving that tape on there into perpetuity. But hey,
I want to guy in my buds class in phase 3. So third phase of buds, you go out. The majority of it's spent out on San Clemente Island, and it's just, we'll just say austere. There's no command presence around. It's just the instructors and the students, and so there's a lot of, we'll just say, shenanigans that go down out there. And one of the things we do is we learn to throw grenades, because the SEAL training, they expect people to come in with zero combat experience. The Navy doesn't really have a combat element. That's the Marine Corps. And so they need to expect everyone to come in with never having shot a gun, having shot a pistol, throwing grenades, use explosive, any of that stuff. So one of the things we did was learn to throw grenades, which seems kind of counterintuitive. But one of the guys had a bit of a limp wrist while throwing the grenade and short threw it. And so they had to grab him, throw him to the ground. Like, it wasn't actually dangerous, but it was, if you're standing up, it's going to be a problem. So threw him to the ground, stuff like that in the pit. And his punishment for the remainder of third phase was he had to have a shake weight with his 2-point sling he carried it with him everywhere. Like, we were going to the shooting range, we were going to the demo pits, everywhere.
That's awesome.
He carried a shake weight with him to make sure that he had his strength up for the next time we threw grenades.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. The problem with Stu is I think, Stu, the problem is that it's not the shaking of the weight. Like, the weight itself was too heavy. Didn't you say that, Stu? Like, just picking it up was a problem.
Hey, dude, I've been hitting the gym hard lately. My son this weekend got some of his mom's 3-pound weights, and he was like doing some curls, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna be like Dad." I'm like, "Yeah, that's right. I'm using 3-pound weights too." Same weight, buddy. High five. He's 6.
There you go. Nothing like being taken down a notch by your 6-year-old.
That's right. That's right, man.
So I'm gonna have to ask you guys.
Yeah, go ahead. You
guys both graduated in 2002, which is probably the craziest time to have been at the Naval Academy, because you joined during, what is that? The math real quick. 97. You guys got there, so no time of war. Kosovo kind of kicking off at the time, but there's nothing really that's going to pull us in. So you guys are like joining peacetime Navy. Soviet Union's gone. We're the dominant power in the world, and then 9/11 kicks off. You guys are right on the nation's capital's doorstep. You're seeing all this stuff go down, and then 8 months before you graduated, this happened. Yeah. So your last 8 months, you're like, holy fuck, what is going on? What are we actually joining into at this point? What was that experience like?
Yeah, dude, there was actually a lot of talk and rumors about us graduating early and like being sent out to the front lines like immediately. I mean, it was crazy. Like I remember the day where I was, what was happening, when it all went down. And it was, you're young and you're like ready to go serve your country. And like, we were fired up, man. We were stoked. We wanted to go, like, we were excited about, graduating early and going and, getting our fight on. So, we were, as horrible as it was, I think in the back of our minds, like, we were ready to go serve, and we were ready to, to go get it. Obviously
22-year-olds are.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. That didn't happen. We continued to do our time at the Naval Academy, graduated, and then, can we win our ways? Yeah. I actually stuck around for quite a few more months there locally before I went to flight school in Pensacola and did the whole flight school thing, 2 years worth. But yeah, the war had started. quickly once I got trained up and in my squadron, like we were deploying, and I was, first deployment flying helicopters was doing air ambulance, doing medevac, in northern Kuwait, southern Iraq, and so like it was game on pretty quickly after I was trained up and ready to go. And Goody, I mean, he was up and training too.
Yeah, man, it was, and like you said, it's funny because I'm thinking back now. So September 11th happens to be my birthday. And so it was just a weird day. And that was my 22nd birthday. And, what I will say, when Stu said that, I hadn't thought about this for years, but there was a point where some of us, and this is just the exuberance and the ignorance of youth, but we were like, man, I wonder if we're going to get out of finals, like we're going to go get to fight, and like just the stupid stuff that goes through your head. I hadn't thought about that for 2 decades, man. But I remember being like, oh, let's just go get this. Let's graduate early. And of course, you at that point, I think it's just human nature, especially for young, dumb dudes, just to minimize, the impacts and all the true implications of what it meant. And I talk to my kids almost every day. My kids are fascinated by war. And I talk to them every day. I'm like, look, I signed up. And if you guys want to do this, I signed up to go fight. Like for me, it was an extremely exciting, meaningful time. I said, but don't be misled. And I talked to him about Israel and Gaza, and I talked to him about, Russia and Ukraine, but from the perspective of the human suffering element on all sides, right? There's no winners or losers. There's winners, and most of us we all lose something, but it's just a real human element of how sexy it's not, right? And it's a great learning experience to talk them through all these events and really to understand in greater detail the implications of what it all meant, and which obviously, Stu and I, as 22-year-old dudes that went to the academy looking for a life of adventure, we didn't have near a perspective to your point. We weren't coming in during a time of war, so we had no perspective of what it really meant or what it would mean or what it would truly entail, especially thinking 20 years down the road. I know I, for one, I was a five and dive guy for my entire career. I was like, I'm getting out. And then I hit 20 years. I'm like, wow, I guess it's time to retire. So, but yeah, pretty powerful. Yeah, it's 5 years up yet. Oh wow, it happened 15 years ago. Crazy. So it was a meaningful, special, and obviously difficult time.
Yeah, that's
you guys were roommates at the academy.
Yeah.
So
that's an interesting conversation to have with your kids. I mean, it's so necessary nowadays, right? Because it's either they get it in the news or hear it from somebody else, but they're going to be hearing about it. So I think that's so important to be having this open and honest conversations, because war, like 100%, gets romanticized and people do not see the flip side of it. It's like you see Navy SEALs or you see Green Berets or you see pilots out there. I mean, it looks awesome, and that's 2% of it is the awesome stuff, and you do a lot of hard work to get that 2%, but it's an iceberg. It's at the end of the day, it's an iceberg. There's a lot of stuff that goes into making all that happen that is like really, really not sexy at all.
Yeah, dude, you're right. I was my son, he's 6, and he sees all my helicopter pictures, and he asks about what I did, and I was telling him about that first deployment, doing medical evacuations, and he was like, "Dad, did anybody die? Like, did you get shot at? Did you have to shoot guns?" And I've tried to kind of downplay it, and he's like, "Did anybody die in your helicopter?" It's like, "Well, no, but someone got close." He's like, "Really? Did they get blown up?" I was like, "No, they got stung by a scorpion." And he's like, "Oh, okay."
That's not nearly as cool as
That's not nearly as cool. Yeah. So I've tried to downplay it a little bit, but yeah, it is important to have those conversations for sure.
And that's something that you guys, I mean, I know you guys talk about fatherhood a ton at Kinetic Man. Why don't you guys, kind of introduce us or introduce the audience to what Kinetic Man is all about and what you guys are up to?
Goody, you want to take that one?
Yeah, man. I'll try to give you the short, long version, but ultimately Stu and I, when we were in the Navy, the latter 5 years, we got together and just from a number of circumstances, we created a couple real estate focused businesses and we were, flipping houses, turning over to military investors and really trying to create generational wealth for our military brothers and sisters. And ultimately what we realized is that was really cool, and we still think it's awesome, but we've always been huge about community. Like we wanted to create a community. We never really named it. We joined a number of masterminds. We paid, quite a bit of money and good money to be surrounded by like-minded folks, and ultimately got to this place where I think both of us looked in the mirror independently and we were like, man, the military thing has gone well. I've hit all the goals I wanted to achieve, and there's this vision for the future on an entrepreneurial side. Like I really want to dive into this and make things happen, and then, but as we look deeper in the mirror, we're like, man, my family's kind of suffering. Like, where do I see my family in the next 10 years? My kids will potentially be mostly out of the house. Like, what kind of relationship will I have with them? What's my relationship with my wife like? Do I have friends? What is my social life? Not social, like go out, have drinks and whatever, but like deep, meaningful relationships with other men. Well, what does that look like? And we just both realized, man, there's something missing in it, and we're not unique in that. Like, we're not special in being these alpha, type A personality driven individuals who want to do amazing things for God and country and for our families. And we have no friends, and we just bury ourselves in work, and we call work fun, right? And what's your hobby? Work. What do you do for fun? Work. Like, we just saw this perpetuating mentality, and more and money. And it just wasn't fulfilling. So we both went on this deep, we started diving into books, studying the happiness study and just mindset books and relational books, and basically came to the realization a lot of dudes are just missing out on life, man. And not only with each other, and not only with what they could be doing in their community, but in their own homes, right? Their kids are missing out on the essence of true manhood and what they could be making an impact today. And they being just all of us men, all of us, right? And also realizing it's not that hard. It really isn't that hard to date your kids, to put your phone down, and to get in a community of like-minded individuals who just really pour jet fuel on your game and raise your game in all levels, whether it's entrepreneurial, whether it's a dad, as a husband, as a friend, all these things. And it was pretty fascinating to us, to a point, to be like, dude, let's find this group. Let's find that mastermind. I'll pay any amount of money to get around those kind of guys. And we couldn't find it, dude. And they're out there, I'm sure, but we just couldn't find what we were looking for. And so we were already inclined towards action. So we're like, dude, let's just make it. Let's just make it. And at the time, it was the Storehouse Mastermind, and it's evolved into the Kinetic Man. And ultimately, dude, is just getting a bunch of guys, ninjas like you guys, together and having deep conversation, like right from the go. Like, Stu, we've never talked. Today was an exception. I talked about weather today, but it was because I hit a dude up and I was like, hey man, we're getting 12 inches of snow on Thursday here on the Front Range, and the mountains aren't getting any. Should we probably cancel our snowboard trip? And that was with another dude. But the point of that conversation, that's a guy in the community, happens to be a vet, also a business owner. And it's a guy I reached out to, and we've really developed a relationship. And we don't talk about weather and sports, dude. We talk about, like, hey, how's your porn habit? Like, do you want to make a progress on getting out of that? How's it impacting your marriage? Is that something, a legacy you want to pass on to your kids? No. Okay, cool. Like, what do you do about it, dude? Let's go, arm to arm. And dude, I'm a toucher, man. Like, I don't mind holding hands, hugging dudes, So let's go arm in arm, hand in hand. And like, let's fight this battle. Like, this battle is an important battle that has the same type of implications as any battlefield out there where you can lose a limb, where you can lose life. It's just as meaningful here if you pass on these terrible habits and darkness to your kids, right? Like, let's do something about this. Let's be a light. And so that's where the Kinetic Man came from. We decided we want to do something different and be better. And ever since, just been trying to do that in person and with other dudes, and develop curriculum and just add value to other men.
Hey, can I add something, Greg? One of the things that we found challenging for us, and I think it's paramount in all military transitions, is two things come to mind in military transitions that a lot of people don't talk about. It's just it's purpose and it's tribe, and you're automatically given that in the military. you have purpose by, we talked about serving our country, right? Like we were ready to go get the fight on, at 9/11, and we did it for 20 years. That was our mission. That was our purpose. We showed up daily, excited to go do that for a bigger cause, right? And then tribe, like we were ingrained in a tribe from day one. Like you were put into a command, a squadron, a SEAL team, a fire team. Like that's your tribe, right? And you will die for those men and women. And as soon as you leave that, if you're not really, really intentional about going and finding that, like it's not going to happen. And I think that that's where a lot of veterans go wrong. They just go find the next paycheck, right? Mm-hmm. And they go sit in corporate America, some W-2 job. And there's nothing wrong with corporate America or a W-2 job if it's serving a purpose. But a lot of people just go and find that paycheck, and they just sit in the hamster wheel for the rest of their life with no purpose. And they go to their W-2 job from 9 to 5 and then go home to their family. They don't have any tribe, no friends, no fun, nothing like that. And so we really found that it is necessary and absolutely necessary for men and women to go find those two things and be really intentional about it and seek it out, specifically as you transition out of the military.
And Greg, one last point to that is because I know you're so passionate about it, and I absolutely love both your guys' content and what you do for the veteran community, and it's real. And we just had, and I'm sorry to say it's not the first. We just had another Naval Academy classmate commit suicide recently, and I cannot. I won't put any of my. I have no. I didn't know him personally. Now he's just up the road. He's in Boulder, and I didn't know it, right? But I have to wonder if he had that dude that he could reach out to, right? And maybe he did, and I'm not making any assumptions either way. But this has now happened a number of times to our very close circle, and to guys that you'd never really expect. And dude, better than anybody. But it's interesting to me the number of those individuals who have not had, and I've seen guys in our group, this is where it gets real. In our group, guys have reached out to me. This is no joke, a quote. Dude said he checked himself into a facility since he's been in the Kinetic Man and since he transitioned out. He checked himself in, and they asked him, are you suicidal? Whatever the question is, right? And he said, I'm not. He said, I'm here because I need help. He said, but I have a group of dudes that I know love me, so I'm not considering taking my life. And he shared that with me after the fact. And I was like, and this is a dear friend, like gets me like emotional thinking about him. But that one distinguisher, the thing that he highlighted was that he had dudes who loved him, and he knew that, and he could call any of them, 30 plus dudes. He could call any of them. And this despair of this thing we get into, that Stu's point is, we get alone, dude. We get alone. And if most of us had one dude just pick up the phone and be like, man, I'm like having a really bad day. And that dude is like, dude, I'm coming over. We're going snowboarding. I'm taking whatever it is. Not, hey, let's go get drinks and watch a game. Like, I'm going to come over. And if it's me, dude, if you call me, man, like you're getting a hug, bro. Like it is what it is. I'm sorry. You're getting a big squishy hug, and like, we're doing it. Right. And if it's Stu, you're getting snot bubbles and tears on your shoulder in that hug. Cause like, that's what Stu brings, and it's great. And I love it. But dude, that's real, right? Like that is the real implication of like we paint this picture, and it's not doom or gloom, man. It's not to be like, oh, it's scary and dudes don't have friends and dudes don't know how to be met. No, man. Like the real truth of it is, like, just have a dude you can pick up the phone and call in your worst day and know that they're going to show up, and something is different, right? It changes everything. And that's the point of it.
David, I think first of all, if you do see Dave, you're gonna get a hug. I can attest to that. And second of all, I think, the first time we met, I think this was you. I always remember it coming from you. So if not, you get credit for it because it stuck with me. But you told me that it was either at a mastermind group or you were talking with a group, and it was a group of men, and you asked them like, who here has a best friend, someone that they can call like tonight if they're having issues. And it was like one or two people raised their hand, and out of, a dozen or more. And that's always stuck with me, because I think if you did that in any given room, that would be the same thing. It was it would be one or two people that raise their hands. So what you guys are doing is incredible. I can attest to the community that you guys are building. I've had the opportunity to have lunch with these guys, and it is the real deal. You guys don't just preach it. You guys follow through and are actually doing it. So kudos to you guys. I mean, I always just have the best impression of you guys.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and it's our new purpose. You know, it's what we love to get up and do every day. So it's good.
That's a huge thing, as you mentioned, having that purpose. I feel like the Vet Collective has a similar idea in mind. You know, how we go about it is different. You know, we're trying to create a tribe around entrepreneurship. You know, I feel very passionately that the W-2 employee at the corporate America job, it's a good stepping stone for a lot of people, but especially veterans from our generation where we were given so much responsibility early on. Like, I use the example all the time of that 19-year-old Lance Corporal who was leading a fire team in Iraq or Afghanistan. Like, he's making life or death decisions for every member of his unit. And then he gets out, say does a 4-year enlistment, gets out at 22, and he tries to get a job someplace, and they're looking at him as a 22-year-old without college, and maybe he was infantry or something like that. So like, well, what does an infantry person know about the tech industry or whatever it might be? So we're just going to hire you on like a probationary status. We're not going to put anybody underneath you because we don't know what your leadership style is. And they're just completely put to the side, not completely, but largely put to the side, and their experience are minimized because corporate America doesn't understand how to use those skills and understand what they went through and the decision-making process that they're capable of. And so there's just this huge pushback among veterans of our generation to want to have that, to take a line from Jocko, that extreme ownership. You know, they want to control their future, they control their destiny, to have a seat at the table, be able to have their decisions leave a lasting impact, not just make a decision about someone and what project they're working on. And so entrepreneurship, I see, really gives that meaningfulness, that purpose back into their lives, even if it's not their full-time gig, even if, maybe they have to support themselves with that salaried position while they build something out. But, if they're doing something like you guys, like building a 501c3, building a community of people, a mastermind, offering information on something that they have a hobby on, like woodworking or welding. Like, hey, you do this on the side, you build it up until it becomes something that can actually sustain you, and then go full bore with it. As humans, we weren't meant to just be these cogs in a machine or hamsters in a wheel, just constantly grinding away to try and get that next paycheck so you can get that bigger house, nicer car, fancier clothes, whatever it is. That doesn't provide true happiness to people. They want to have time. They want to have meaningful connections with people and worthwhile experiences.
Yeah, dude, you couldn't have said it better. You're spot on, man. I think that entrepreneurship is a fantastic place for military veterans to transition into. Goody, I can't remember who said it, but I'm going to misquote it. I think one of our podcast guests said it one time.
Bill Metello. I already know what you're going to say. Yeah. It was Bill Metello.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. What did
he said, he said that the most patriotic thing that you could ever do is serve your country. And he said the second most patriotic thing you could do is create jobs for your country. And so his argument was that, if you truly want to serve and be impactful, that the only thing more impactful to serving your country, the most impactful is serving, obviously, but the right below that is entrepreneurship, is creating opportunities for others to have employment. Because, dude, one thing you said, Kevin, that really struck me, and what I love about your mission, and I just, it's such a blessing. Like, what you guys do is like, just, I mean, you guys are ninjas, but you're showing vets not only that they can, but you're showing them a path on how to achieve fulfillment, but also a path for financial independence, right? And we don't ever want to minimize. It's not all about money, but there are certain facts. The number one divorce cause is typically money. One of the biggest things that causes stress is money. And it doesn't mean what most people take that as like, well, I got to be a millionaire. No, dude, you just have to have enough money to pay your bills, right? And then every dollar above that is financial freedom. And so when you contextualize it in the right way with smart people like you saying, hey, no, you don't need to be a millionaire. Like, we don't need to be a 500,000, dude. Just pay your bills. Do you know what your bills are? No. Okay, let's start there. Awesome. Now you know. Well, do you think you could do something with your woodworking, with your all the things, all the skills that you bring to the table to get to this number? Yeah, I totally think I could do that. Awesome. Then let's do that. And so you're showing people how to do that. And there's so much power in all of that, in contextualizing that number and understanding there's a way. And dudes like you guys showing other vets, especially like knuckle dragon army guys, right? Like, you show them, hey, I can do it. I start businesses. This is what I'm doing. And then those guys look and they're like, oh man. And I can even talk to Greg. Like, I can hit him up on LinkedIn and he'll respond. Dude, that's how I met Greg. Like, I think maybe somebody connected us and I'm like, hey dude, let's hang out. And you met us and then you left us like a jerk. You left and went to the Netherlands. But I'll tell you, man, like, you're showing people that it's that easy. And a lot of times we come out of the military and all the things Stu is talking about just lead us to overwhelm. And like, I don't think I can. I just have to get a job. Like, that's all that I care about. And then you get into this cycle, right? And there's another way and there's a better way. And that's what I love about what you guys do.
Thank you. Yeah, the number I've seen is it's around $100,000 in the U.S. Obviously, depending on where you are, it can make a significant difference if you're in Iowa versus Los Angeles. But yeah, it's basically $100,000, and your basic needs, your bills are being met. Every dollar above that has diminishing returns in terms of happiness that it's bringing you. Um, and I think people lose sight of that because a lot of people they are struggling financially. You know, they're trying to make ends meet. They're paying their bills paycheck to paycheck, and so they think they just get more, then they'll be happier. And so once they cross that threshold, they keep wanting to bring on more, and it really takes a paradigm shift to realize I don't need more money. I need more experiences. I need more better people. Not to say more people, but more better people in my life. I want more quality time with my family. I want more meaning in the things that I'm doing on a daily basis. And so the more that we can get that message out there, that it's not about getting that paycheck, it's about getting joy out of life, I think will really have a lasting impact on, especially in the veteran community, but just men in general, people in general, for them to be happier and more fulfilled in their life.
A great quote that I heard from the Chris Williamson podcast, or it was more of a question, and it was, what do you want versus what do you want to want? And understanding the distinction between the two, because I want a 7-figure paycheck and a badass car and all of these great things. But really what I want to want is like much more simple than that, is spend time with my family, you know, be healthy, have healthy kids, and have them grow up into be contributing members of society. Like that's what I want to want at the bare minimum. So I think focusing on that and getting your head really wrapped around that allows you not to wander off into thinking about those other things that are really just nice to haves, definitely not must haves.
Yeah. Kevin, you made a pretty good point I liked earlier about, you know, going into entrepreneur world. Like, you don't have to, you know, leave the military and go right into thinking that you're going to create some, you know, multi-million-dollar business overnight. Like, you could just start small, start like a little side gig, a little side hustle, start something that you're passionate about, that you're excited about waking up and going and doing every single day. And still, you can still have the W-2 job. You can still have something that pays the bills and, you know, keeps the lights on, but like, start something where there's some purpose, start something that, you know, you can go and serve something bigger and higher than yourself. And then go do that with people that you love. Go do that with people that you want to surround yourself with every day. And, Goody and I were talking about this. I think we did it on a recent podcast on one of our short forms on Fridays about just the idea of money and like, what amount of money would it take to for us to replace what we have now, right? Like Goody and I basically go snowboarding or mountain biking or hiking or something outdoors every single Thursday. Like it's not a work day. Like it's a go play day. It's a mandate day. Fridays we typically it's kind of like quasi work day, but it's hang out with the wife day and go get the oil change day. And David goes fly fishing on Friday mornings, right? And like what amount of money would we want to replace that? And honestly, our answer is there's no amount of money that we would take to have to go do, a Monday through Friday, sun up to sundown, hustle, grind.
Monday through Sunday.
Monday through Sunday. Yeah, man. Monday through Sunday. But man, we have community. Like every time we go to the snowboard, we invite, and Greg's been on that on that invite list. Like we invite dudes to come with us and hang out. And doing that with community, with people that you love is awesome. And then the second part of that is once you're in that community, business starts to kind of naturally flow because now you're in that know, like, trust triangle, right? Mm-hmm. And you truly know the person, you truly love and trust that person. And then it gets really, really fun. Like now we're doing real estate deals with our buddies that are here locally. And that's when it gets really, really cool. And that's when skyrocket.
Yeah. I love that term you just said, the know, like, trust triangle, whatever it is.
Yeah.
You can make a circle out of 3 points, right?
We could do that. Yeah, sure.
Math. No, that's a great way to put it. Like people are constantly trying to find their edge. They follow someone like Cody Sanchez and they're like, oh, I'm going to buy a business, but how do you find the business that's available? And she's like, well, just find, the businesses that are 1 to 5 million. Well, everyone's looking for the businesses that are 1 to 5 million because that's what an SBA loan will get you. And then now you're competing against all these other people that want these same businesses. So, all right, go out and meet the business owners. Well, how do you meet the business owners? Well, they're going to probably want to sell it to somebody that they know and trust and probably like in there too, triangle. And so just by being out there interacting with other people, you now get the insight into these types of deals. And then those deals become more regular. So-and-so introduces you to another person, or you do a great deal with one person and then they want to bring in a buddy, or you guys, like you two, you just go do another deal and you just keep making these things happen on top of one another. But it takes time and it takes effort to build these relationships. And it all comes down to having conversations, deep meaning conversations, not whether in sports, as Dave said, actually getting to know somebody, what makes them tick, what makes them happy, what their aspirations are. And that's when the real magic in business and life happens.
Love it. Hey, real quick, Kevin and Greg, you both said something. I want to really highlight this. Kevin, you mentioned you and Stu were talking about the idea of not having to start a multi-million-dollar business. And I'll say, if you go into it having to start a multi-million-dollar business, I promise you'll never take the first step. It's too overwhelming. It's too overwhelming. So if you it's a whole elephant analogy, right? You start eating an elephant, one bite at a time. It's like push-ups, man. You want to get to 100 push-ups. You're not going to get to 100 push-ups. You're going to do 1, and maybe you're going to do, 10, and you're going to get to 20. And that entire process, the magic is that you're getting stronger, right? 1 to 100, you're getting stronger. And when you could do 20, you're stronger than when you could do 1. And you could do more and you could do better, and your eyes are open. And now you're connecting with people who do 20 push-ups, not the people who do 1 push-up. And that continues to grow. And maybe you get to 1 million. Who cares? At that point, it doesn't matter. That's not the point. The million's not the point. We lose our dreams in the million, right? Like people lose their dreams in the idea of the million, and they think the million's a dream. The million's that's not the dream. That's a crappy dream. If that's your dream, the dream should be the thing. You should know what the thing is. And so I really want to highlight that, just get started, like Stu and Kevin were saying. And then Greg, you said something that I think is super meaningful as well. The same principle applies to being a better dad, husband, friend, right? And so it's the things that the person that you want to be. And when you really like take the time to analyze that, I want to be a better dad. Okay, I can do that. Like I can do that. Like, what does that mean? So for some people, that means putting the phone down for 30 minutes. Can I do 30 minutes more of dadding to be a better dad? I can. Yep, 30 minutes. But 10, make it easy. Can I do 10 minutes more of dadding? Will that make me better than I was yesterday? Yes. Dude, it takes the overwhelm away, right? Like I could take that step. I could put my phone down for 10 minutes. And then after you put your phone down for 10 minutes, it gives you capacity. And you're like, oh, dude, I like that. I'm going to do an hour. And then when you do an hour, you're like, oh, dude, I'm actually more creative than I thought. Like I enjoy hanging out with my kid. I'm going to take him to the mountain for the day. Like it grows, right? The growth is exponential. You just have to start. And so what I love what you guys were saying is the starting point is often has the most resistance, but you can really dumb it down and minimize it to a thing that you can do. The one push up, the one step, the 10 minutes. And once you do that, dude, game on, man. Like, watch out. Like, there's nothing more ferocious than a focused dad, a dude who knows what he wants. And like, he wants to serve and be the guy for his family and his friends and his business. Like, that's a scary dude, like a good scary. That's the kind of guy I want to hang out with, right? And we can all do it. We can all do it. Just like take the million out, right? Take the million, that idea out. I need to be the best dad. No, you don't, dude. Just be a better dad. What is the best dad? What's a millionaire? What is a millionaire? Like, answer that question. What's a millionaire? Is that $1 million of assets under management? Is it my house is worth $1 million? Is it my net value? Is it cash in the bank? Like, dude, you can't even answer that question. So stop trying to be it. Like, just be better, right?
The thing that comes to mind is, you have the, what is it, like EY, that to be a member of it, you have to have a business that's over $1 million in revenue and or 40 plus employees. Like, it's such arbitrary metrics that we put out there, because being on the entrepreneur side, $1 million in revenue doesn't mean anything. Like, how many, especially if you have 40 employees and you have $1 million in revenue, congrats.
Yeah. And your equipment is like $3 million
$40,000 a year. Yeah. And
hopefully they're all in the Philippines.
Yeah. We were talking with Samson Jagoras about this, because he's partnering with, or we're partnering with him to help create a funnel for entrepreneurship through acquisition. He's like, the average salary of an entrepreneur is $65,000 a year. Like, most of them aren't doing well because they build themselves into a job instead of building a business. And then you have the, Forbes 30 under 30, 40 under 40, and all these random accolades and awards that we're giving out there to people. And most of them are to people that have venture-backed businesses that are arbitrarily valued at, $1 billion for someone that's under 40 years. Those valuations are arbitrary, just like the millionaire metric is arbitrary. They haven't made any money yet. Most of them, they're pre-revenue. They've just created a bunch of hype around their business. They've created another Theranos. Not necessarily all of them, but you have stuff like that where we create these hypes around these massive successes that oftentimes just disappear anyway. And so instead, people need to start focusing on, hey, are they a good person? Are they a good parent? Are they a good employer? Do they treat their employees well? Are they actually creating a business that's providing value to society? And we talk about the Ikigai model all the time. Things you're good at, things you enjoy doing, things that provide value to society, and things that society will pay for. And outside of that, you don't need to come up with the next Facebook. Just come up with something that society values and that's doing good for society.
Yeah, dude. We've noticed that since kind of starting the Kinetic Man, doing like the hard inner work of like figuring out who you are as a person, figuring out like who you are that God made you to be, doing the inner work, figuring out what your core values are, what's important to you, and like the person that you want to become. Like that work, man, if you get that done first, that transfers so well to business, and more people are just going to want to do business with you because you know who you are and you show up every day, like living in your strengths because you know them and you can go attack it every single day, right? Instead of trying to be this fake person with a mask on that tries to go be some, next Warren Buffett or, Elon Musk or something like that. So yeah, I love it, man.
Well, dude, I asked my kid. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Greg.
No, you go, David.
I was just going to say my kid the other day was talking about Bezos, and I was like, hey, are you sure you want to be Bezos? Like, answer me that. No judgment. I'm just no judgment at all. But like, do you want to marry and stay married your whole life to like one person? Yes or no? Like, no judgment. Just curious. And my son was like, yeah, of course. I'm like, okay, well, I mean, does that go into your calculus of if you want to be like Bezos or not, or is it just a money thing? And it just made him think, right? It's again not judgment. It's just simply like I personally wouldn't want his life necessarily when you start digging in. And so it's just an important question, man. Like to Stu's point, like dude, the comparison game is also, dude, it's a shell game, man. Like you don't truly know somebody's life. So like, let's make ours the best possible and stop wasting time looking at TikToks and the YouTubes and all the things of everybody else's great life. Like, dude, create that, man. Create that and live in it, because you're never going to get fulfillment the other way, right? No. I'm sure you can say something much smarter than anything I was going to say anyways, Greg. So go ahead.
Well, I'm going to piggyback off what you said and just say that Bezos has one of the best glow ups that I've ever seen. The dude is like jacked now, going back from his like time in like the 90s where he's driving around in his like Honda Accord looking like an absolute dweeb. I mean, he still kind of looks like a dweeb now, but like at least he's like kind of jacked and looks respectable, right?
It's good.
Got to find the highlights. But I think, again, quoting Chris Williamson, dude pulls nuggets out of everything. He was talking, I forget who he was talking with, but he was saying you can't do a cherry-picked swap of someone's life. You can't be like, oh, Elon Musk has all this money. He's the richest man in the world, so I want to be like him. Or, some famous singer or an athlete, professional athlete. You have to do a wholesale from birth to where they are today, life swap. You have to go through all the trials, the tribulations, the wins, the losses, the struggles, the work that went into it. In the case of Elon Musk, he's talked about it very openly that his mind is like a storm. There's craziness going on up there, and people probably don't really want to have that going on inside their head. And so it's important for people to realize you can't cherry pick success. You have to either take the entire picture or you don't, build your life how you enjoy it. Your life better than anybody else. Find the good in it, and then know where the bad is and change those things you don't like. You're not gonna be able to change everything. It's not gonna be perfect, but you can still live a very fulfilling, happy life without needing to be a billionaire.
Amen. Love it.
Yeah, I would say for all the listeners, like, hey, go join that collective, surround yourself with like-minded individuals, right? And then, go find a tribe locally. If you're in San Diego, go hang out with Kevin and, get local.
In the Netherlands, go hang out with Greg.
If you're in the Netherlands, go hang out
all
with
you
Greg.
listeners in the Netherlands, you go hang out with Greg.
If you're in Colorado, hey, come
on
with us.
We got 1%. We got 1% Netherlands listeners. I'm pretty sure it's me.
It's your wife, man. It's you and your wife listening on different devices.
My wife doesn't want to listen to me talk any more than
true.
she already has to. She ain't listening to these.
That's good.
That's good.
Well, hey, I want to, before we sign off, man, I want to just thank you guys for what you do. Your listeners. I'm humbled to be on your show, and I just absolutely, like I said earlier, love what you guys, your passion to truly help vets in spaces are so critical, right? Whether it's mental health, it's entrepreneurship, it's just becoming a full person. Everything you guys do, man, I'm just absolutely love it. I truly am super bummed that you left, Greg. I enjoyed we got together a couple times, and I was really looking forward to growing that relationship, but we can grow it from a distance. But I just think there's so much power and strength in what you guys are doing and bringing you guys together to have that community, to have that just a blessing of that brotherhood and sisterhood. And man, keep it up, guys. You guys are crushing it. It's awesome. It's awesome to see what you're doing.
Appreciate you, man. We'll have to have a Kinetic Man retreat out in the Netherlands. Let's get offline and try to figure something out.
That'd be dope.
That'd be fun.
I like it.
You can do those barge bike tours where you get off and chase some windmills.
There you go.
smell the tulips.
So good.
There you go.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for being on. Everyone, Stu Grazer, David Gutierrez with the Kinetic Man. They have podcasts, they have masterminds. All their information will be in the episode summary. Hit them up, figure out what they're about, and see if that's a tribe that you're interested in joining.
Thanks, guys. This was fun.
Thanks, guys.
Absolutely.
Thanks, fellas.